So people have been asking for a versus battle between Usher and Chris Brown for a while now, and allegedly they got it this past weekend.
Girl, what's going on?
Usher and Chris Brown got into a complete battle outside of a roller rink this past weekend during Chris Brown's 34th birthday party. Chris Brown seemed to have a time that night, guys. Let's go ahead and get into the tea. I'm gonna tell you guys also my thoughts on Chris Brown and just the entire situation at the end of the video.
Can somebody please tell me what the fuck is going on? I don't know. I'm reading headlines after headlines.
So just to start off with some context between Chris and Usher, they seem to have been boys for years now. They've performed songs together, they've written songs together, and the night started off normal between the two. At one point, it was even reported that Usher sung Chris Brown happy birthday.
I think it's gonna help me with this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
My pussy's wet. Somebody give me some tissue. Here you go.
Happy birthday, Breezy. Happy.
The pair just seemed to be in good spirits until Teyana Taylor entered the building. Allegedly, Chris Brown, once he spots Teyana Taylor, he starts asking her to leave, eventually cursing her out.
Happy birthday, bitch.
So you just gonna bring me a birthday gift on my birthday to my birthday party on my birthday with a birthday gift?
Happy birthday?
Bitch! Stay out my mother house, bitch!
Then at one point, Chris Brown focuses all of his effort and attention on cursing out Usher. The pair exchange words. And then Chris Brown decides to leave the building. As Chris Brown is exiting the building, TMZ reports that Usher is seen taking off his skates. Usher then follows Chris Brown and his crew behind some buses, and it's then when Usher comes back into the building moments later with a bloody nose.
What you think would win? Who do you think would win? Because I ain't worried about what you talking about, Charlamagne. What you think? Yeah, who you think will win?
I'm gonna go with Usher.
Usher, you think?
Yeah. Usher got that OG strength.
I'm
gonna go with Chris.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go with Chris.
You gonna go with Chris?
I see Chris boxing in the ring and all that.
Yeah.
How we know Usher don't box though?
I don't know. I just said I see Chris in the ring boxing.
They both very athletic.
They are
That'd be
very
a good one.
athletic.
We definitely see. I just wanted to know who y'all thought.
It'd be a long fight too, because they both in shape. It'd be a long fight.
Who you think would win, Jeff?
I mean, if they both were sober, I don't know. I got Chris knocking them out.
If they were sober,
it's just the young strength against the old strength. You say old strength like that's like really like a
but
good thing up against
you know why,
in the league. It's not a thing.
You know why?
In boxing, it's not a thing. In the streets, it's not a thing. It's not.
But you know why though? Because old people be more patient. And you said something earlier that's true. Like Chris be kind of rushing into stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like in a boxing ring, you rush into something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might get caught with something.
So the event unfortunately was not caught on camera. This was all out of view from the public, but sources are definitely saying that Chris Brown and his crew put the pause on Usher. TMZ is reporting that they haven't heard of anything being called into the Vegas Metro PD, and something just tells me that this story is going to eventually fade away privately. Everyone involved is probably going to be pretty hush about this story. There hasn't been much since then, but let's talk about the following day because this is really interesting. Usher is currently on tour and Chris Brown is performing on the tour. And while Usher was busy doing damage control,
hey yo, we're here having a great time. See y'all soon.
Chris Brown was continuing a different type of damage. Behind the scenes, it was caught on camera that Chris starts going off on an unknown person.
Hey, no. I got it. Get out.
But fortunately, things didn't get as physical as the night before. So that's basically the story between the two in this past weekend. I'm just going to talk a little bit about Chris Brown and how I feel towards him and just this story in general. First, I want to say, oftentimes with stories like this, we don't really hear much about the story as it's happening. We oftentimes will hear about it years and years later on a random podcast somewhere, and it's never really in the blogs. For us to hear about this happening between two major celebrities, one of which who is very beloved in the community, Usher, and one of which is always in the news, always in the blogs for fighting and beating everyone and their mother up. It's just a very interesting story to get breaking and to hear breaking as it's happening. So many times we see with these R&B stars, especially as they start to fade away, they go on these tours and then they're not able to get along. Substances are involved, alcohol is involved. Next thing you know, they pull out from the tour. So I'm glad that they were able to perform the next day. But unfortunately, Chris Brown wasn't able to hold his temper, and he never really is. So that leads me into how I feel about Chris Breezy. You know, if there ever was a celebrity that was the biggest disappointment to me as far as how they've been able to manage their career and how they've been able to manage their personal life and not have it spill on screen and in front of the public eye, it's gonna be Chris Brown. I do want to say, I don't want to completely villainize him before I go in on him. I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He is a person who has been in the spotlight pretty much his entire life. I'm sure he has a lot of money, a lot of access, even though he isn't as A-list as he used to be. He is a legend in his own right. So he's been in a lot of rooms where he hasn't really had to answer for his actions. But I do want to say this, with money and power and access comes the access to mental health care. And I think for him, there is no excuse for him to be putting his hands constantly on people. Especially when you consider the fact that Usher has only ever shown us that he's a good person. He seems to be excited and happy every time he's on camera. This just is not a good look for Chris Brown, and I think that this is gonna open a lot of people's eyes. I feel like oftentimes when we hear news stories about Chris Brown, it's about Chris being involved with a random person, or Chris not allowing dark-skinned women into certain sections of the club.
Bombastic side eye.
It's a lot of these stories where the people involved we don't really know. So for Chris to come at Usher like this and for this story to allegedly have happened, I think it's going to open a lot of people's eyes and it's going to show them who Chris Brown kind of is. So I just hope at the end of the day, people continue to hold celebrities accountable for their actions. We also have to keep in mind the fact that a lot of these celebrities in our eyes can do no wrong, but at the end of the day, it is important to hold people responsible and accountable for their actions. You can love what they do, you can love how they perform, the music and the art, but in the words of Nene Leakes,
honey, the music ain't that great. I listen to it on the iPod.
So we can't be overlooking what these celebrities do every time they decide to show their ass. All right, guys, how do you guys feel about this incident between Chris and Usher? I'm really excited to hear your thoughts. Go ahead and drop down in the comments and let me know. And something tells me that I will be talking to you guys very, very soon. Bye, guys.